Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Sunday night here on the Single Parents United YouTube channel. Part two of Single Parents Stories. As always, we're joined by Stephen Walker
Hey.
and got Tosh Britton as well.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about dating, all things dating. Apps, experiences, do's and don'ts, a couple of top tips, and we're going to finish the episode with an inspirational quote to help you start your week strong. So, dating apps. We've all had some experience using the dating apps, Tosh and Steve, and myself. There's loads out there that get used by millions and millions of people daily. They've got a place definitely in the dating scene, but a lot of people that we speak to have had very, very negative or indifferent experiences using these dating apps. So, Stephen, I believe you've had a bit of experience on these apps, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I'm not as experienced as you are, mate. But, where to start? Well, about a year after my separation, I decided to hop online. And you remember, James, I lasted about a week. You remember?
Yeah. It wasn't long, was it?
No. And that was because nobody messaged me. I found the whole process very depressing, really. So I decided it wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's that kind of disappointment, I think, isn't it? That you sign up to these apps and you think it's going to open the world up to you, to men or women, and you're going to be thinking you're just going to be inundated with loads of messages, and you're just going to find the one. You're going to find straight away. You're going to meet someone, and it doesn't always work out like that. I know it does for some people, but I think it's that the disappointment and the feeling of, I think, rejection. I think you mentioned as well, Steve. I remember when you were on them and came off. It's that kind of feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like nobody wants you. And Tosh, I know that you're going to touch on some of these issues about how these feelings of rejection and depression and
how to manage them.
Yeah, they can really affect you. And you're going to talk about some tips and bit of advice on how to deal with those kind of feelings, aren't you?
I am indeed. I think it's a really big area. I once I've interviewed a few people on my podcast, and one of the most poignant things somebody ever said to me was that dating apps are a narcissist playground. Because actually anybody can be whoever they want to be. And I'm going to be sharing a little story. I won't be naming any names, but, just to prove a point as well. And people can be, they can behave as they want. There's no accountability. So I think things really need to change, actually. And hopefully this conversation will help a few people along the way as well. So that'd be lovely.
Yeah, definitely. There's, is it called, is it ghosting? Is that one of the...
Ghosting, gaslighting, kind of just love bombing as well. That's the big one. And I once I was talking to somebody who actually looked a bit like he ought to be part of the Rolling Stones, and he was a very funny person. He was very funny and very nice. We only had lunch a couple of times, but he was likening dating apps and dating to, you have little like this. You have like a department store, and you go in on the first level and everything's sort of, you got your low cost things there and the smaller things. And then you go, oh, I tell you what's on the next level? And you go to the next level. And then as you go further up, you're expecting more and more and more. And then suddenly you find yourself opening the roof door and you're out there and you can't ever go back down. That's the deal with this. So you keep on going up, and then you go, oh my God. So the expectations are so high that people end up with nobody. And actually the real soul and, all the good people are kind of all there. and everybody's just looking for something that perhaps isn't there. Maybe because we all feel like we've been through it and we actually deserve better. I say we, but as in, a big collective. But I don't know. And then everything becomes a little bit skewed. And but anyway, we're going to talk about that. So.
Yeah, and I think
we suddenly got really conversation. Really, like serious in this conversation. We thought this was going to be a really fun conversation.
That is captivating.
Oh, well, we're just warming up, aren't we?
Yeah. And obviously, from a single parent's point of view, it's I think they do serve a purpose, because a lot of us have got busy lives. We've got the kids, we've got work, we've got other commitments. Myself and Steve. I run a football team. Steve's always taking his kids out to different clubs, and Tosh, you'll know yourself, all the different commitments, seeing friends, seeing family. It's really, really hard to fit somebody else into your life, really. So dating as a whole, whether you're doing it on an app or whatever, it's quite daunting, especially if you've been with someone for a long time. You've got used to them, and then you've got to think, I'm going to have to try and find someone else now, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. However many you've got, it can be really difficult to fit someone else in. Really, you kind of get used to just worrying about yourself and your children, don't you? And thinking about trying to fit someone else in your life is a bit worrying.
I remember on the first dates I went out, I literally, before you get married, you don't have children and everything, you spend hours and everything, and I literally just went out the door, and I was like just looking at myself thinking, oh my God, I didn't even do half the stuff I ever used to before I used to go out. And I was literally like, put a new clean shirt on, had a quick shower, and that was it. And I just didn't really think about it. Actually, that one lasted quite a long time, so maybe that's the key to it, not to worry too much about it.
There are lots of success stories. Somebody I was chatting to about, telling them was going to be talking about dating, they said that they ended up in a 3-year long relationship off one of the dating apps. And obviously people do get married, and it works really well, which is brilliant, isn't it? There's lots of success stories.
Not for me and you, though.
Not for us, obviously.
No, not me.
Obviously, is still single.
There's a reason why we're on this screen.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Forget the dating apps.
How not?
Forget the dating apps. We'll just go live on YouTube.
We're trying different avenues.
To
get ourselves out there.
Try anything. You know what I mean? We've like I said, me and Steve we've been on dating apps, but back in the day we tried salsa dancing ways to meet women, and the other
where though?
Yeah. But in the current climate as well, when especially in lockdown, you're restricted, you can't go out, and for a single person, you can't go out the house, you can't go to the pub or to a nightclub try and meet someone. So what do? You resort to these apps, and I've recently gone back on them after having a bit of a break, and Steve always says, oh, don't go on them, and you just kind of get drawn back in. It's almost like a bit of
it's a bit of an addiction, isn't it?
But it is. Social media and all these apps, they are, and that's why these companies are so successful, isn't it? Because they're addictive. The people keep going back to using them. You go back on these apps and you see the same people that were on them 2 years ago. So it's like they've not had any luck either. They're still on them. It's just so difficult when you start messaging as well, kind of knowing what to say, isn't it? I don't know, Tosh or Steve, you've got any advice or any stories about what?
Steve, what are your thoughts?
Message to somebody. What would you say?
I was just going to say, one of the big problems is everyone's got a strategy, like playing mind games and treat them mean, keep them keen, this scenario. You just don't know where you're at when you're messaging.
No.
That's what my finding is.
Out the three of us, do we play those games?
I don't.
No,
I don't either.
I don't.
No.
That's why I'm single.
That's why we're doing something wrong. We look too needy because we just text back in a normal.
Straight away.
Stay away. But
a lot of the women, not saying it's just women, it's men as well, but a lot of women put on the profile, don't just say hi, okay? But I've had quite a few messages off women who just say hi. And I'm thinking, you're telling us men not to just say hi, and you're saying hi. So it's like...
Yeah. The other one is hey, and I'm like, hey, don't bother texting me if you're just going to say one word.
But it's like I said, it's so difficult. I mean, you sometimes look at the profile and pick something out like, oh, they like horses, whatever. Oh, I see you like horses. I like horses too. or whatever. I don't know what it is. So that's something that I would maybe do. But it's what I use all the time. I don't know why, but hi, how's your weekend been or something? Well, that's just rubbish, isn't it?
Do you think those are the people maybe? And can we just say to anybody out there, right, there is no judgment about what you put in your messages, okay? We're still single. We're not getting it right, okay? So we don't have all the answers. We're just talking about our experience. And, we're not out to upset anybody. We're not out to judge anybody. We're just trying to find a way through all of this, probably with a lot of you as well. So
definitely.
Yeah.
I have a theory. I did a little bit of research. I didn't tell you this, James.
No, you did. I remember. I know what you're going to say.
All right. Obviously, I work with the blind, and a lot of the employees I work with are female orientated. So I said, what's crack? When you're online with messaging, why don't you get back to us, bloke? And a few of the women said, well, we get about 3,000 messages the minute we go online from different blokes, and we can't get to the good guys. You know what I mean? We have to sift through all the rubbish, and in the end, we can't be bothered. And I was like, all right, well, I've probably got about 2 messages to go through.
I don't get many messages, but then I've got real honest pictures on my profile, so.
Oh, do you know what?
And I say it as it is on my profile as well. I'm like, I don't need anybody, and but if somebody comes along, I'm happy in my own skin. And I say all that stuff, and
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tosh. So on your profile pictures, you wouldn't use a filter, would you?
No, I don't have any filters.
So that is brilliant. I love people who don't use filters, because I'm not saying, again, I'm talking from a male point of view. So like Tosh said, I'm not trying to offend any women or anything. I'm just talking from a male's point of view. Tosh, looking at her face, she's looking worried. Like,
no, I'm not at all. I was just having a think. If we're all on Tinder, we should send each other our like thingies, and we can check our profiles, see where we're going wrong, the 3 of us, and we'll just do a bit of
an experiment for a week. See who wins.
We'll let you all know.
Well, the filters, and I completely understand why a lot of people use filters, because of insecurities. We've all, us three, if we sat here and told we'd all come up with an insecurity that we've got about ourselves. Everybody has them. I've not got a problem with that at all. What I don't like is when these filters give an unclear representation of the actual person that is behind the filters. So
by about 10 years.
This is me, I've not had any really, really bad experiences from that. I've had one experience comes to mind when I was messaging someone. Obviously, like the look of the pictures. Unfortunately, these apps, again, they're very superficial. You're looking at how the person looks rather than so much the personality. Messages this woman, met up with her, and she did look 10 years older. I'm not being unkind. She did look 10 years older, and I was really like a bit annoyed, to be honest with you, because it's almost like false advertising. It's like if you're looking to buy a new car, you look at this nice shiny Porsche or something, you turn up, but it's a Ford Fiesta. It's a little bit, it shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed. There should be some algorithm in these apps that stops people using these filters.
So this is the thing. I had a date with somebody, and I was in London. I kind of met them in Waterloo, I think it was, and we went for a drink, and he was about 3 inches shorter than he said he was, so he was kind of borderline my height anyway, and he was much older as well. And I haven't got anything against smokers. I used to smoke, but I just kind of prefer not to date a smoker now anyway. And halfway through, he was going, so, whatever. And we were just talking about it. And I said, I've got a real thing about honesty and I've got a bit of a nose for it. And I can tell if somebody's lying. Anyway, about 2 minutes later, he said, oh, can I, hello.
I'm really sorry, Trash. My video went randomly.
That's all right. Have we all swapped, by the way?
Yeah, we've swapped around.
It's like,
just go with it. Carry on, Tosh.
Musical screens. Anyway, so I sort of got a bit of a nose for dishonesty. Anyway, 2 minutes later, he goes, oh, I'm going to go out for a cigarette. Do you mind? And I went, actually, I do. And he obviously got a little bit nervous about it. And then at the end of it, we kind of had a bit of supper. And at the end, he was going, well, can I see you again? And I said, no, actually, because I think you've wasted my time. You lied about your height, you lied about your age, and you smoked as well. Yeah, and he said, and he turned around, and I felt like I was turning off some naughty, literally young man, and well, he was old, and he turned around and he went, but everybody lies, and I went, but that's no reason for you to lie.
And you haven't.
It's like, what makes it okay that people think because everybody else is doing it, they got to lie? So that's my soapbox bit over.
I think it's people are that kind of desperate to find
lying is not going to do it.
They'll almost do anything to get a date or to meet that one. But I'm with you. I wouldn't. There's no point in lying.
An age, it's just be honest. I think it's like, how would you want to be treated? Like, and I mean, the stress people must go through, right, before they even get ready and turn up at the date because they know they've lied.
Yeah. I mean, you put all the effort in, get yourself tarted up and think, I'm going to meet this really nice guy, sounds awesome, he's the right height, he's the right age, and you turn up and there's this little guy there who's like 10 years older. It's not good, is it?
But just for women, if I lied a lot about everything and then I turned up, I'd be fretting, but maybe that's just me, I'd be really fretting about what, and seeing the look in their eye. And I know a guy who told me a story that he turned up to see this lady, and she was about another few sizes, and it just wasn't his bag, and she wasn't his bag. And he turned around and he said, what are you doing? He said, you don't look like anything like your photo, so I'm not going to stay and have a coffee. You've wasted my time. I've come all the way across town. And she started crying. So he actually did stay, and he said, listen, I'm sure, and this is a really big key point in here, right? You can tell him a bit kind of whatever about this. He said, passionate, that's the one. He said, if you were honest on your photos, right, and this is really key, I think, for everybody on dating sites, if you're honest on your photos, you're going to attract the right person who is going to love you for who you are.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to go through all the angst of whether you look like your photos, the lies you've told, all that stuff, put a bit of weight on, everybody's done it in COVID. A lot of people have.
Yeah.
And it's like and he said, you will attract the people who will love you for who you are. And I think that's like...
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely agree.
And it's about loving yourself. So we're going to come back to the whole self-kindness thing, about loving yourself and just going, actually, I'm enough as I am.
Yeah.
And believing. And when you feel... Yeah, anyway.
It goes so much deeper, doesn't it? Stuff like that, with about media and how people are portrayed, and how in papers and on TV you see all these size 8, size 10, whatever women. So that it runs so deep, doesn't it? The fact that people
it's
not
everywhere,
not comfortable in their own skin, and that's why I've got this, exercise bike. I'm no different than anybody else. I want to lose a bit of timber. If I was taking a picture for a dating app, I might suck my stomach in a little bit. You know what I mean?
I think that's probably okay.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't put flipping bunny ears on my head or anything, or outing or anything like that. It's just crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Another thing that we're going to touch on, just briefly, is the message to any men that are watching, that we had a bit of a chat about this recording. Myself, Tosh, and Steve. My female friends and people that I've chatted to who have been on dating apps, that the women, they don't like those kind of pictures, blokes that sometimes send. I've not spoke to one woman who appreciates getting pictures of certain body parts from a man. So it's a no-go area, guys.
And like you said, James, you wouldn't go in a pub, would you? Drop your pants.
No, you wouldn't. No, definitely not. So don't do it online, guys. Don't do it.
No, don't do it.
That's top
Yeah.
tip.
Yeah, I don't want to do the commentator's curse and say I've always been lucky. I haven't had that experience, but
No, you never
it's
know.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know. It's kind of like going to spoil the surprise, but I think if somebody chooses to do that, you're probably not. Oh, I don't know if you're going to see them actually. I don't know about this. I'm not going to talk about something I don't know.
Yeah, some people might like
Yeah.
it, but...
So what is the emoji, guys, that you were talking about that is the big red flag for the photo?
It's an aubergine. Randomly, I don't know why they picked an aubergine. They could have picked a banana or I don't know, but it's an aubergine in the. I tell you, if mine looks like that, I need to go to the doctors and tell you something seriously wrong.
I know. You just think, oh my god.
It's a fun thing to anyway. Weird.
So dating stories, guys. What do we do? Okay, so one of the things I was going to talk about is and you guys can help me out as well, is like the whole, and James, you touched on it, and it's a bit like, it can get quite addictive, and you just, you end up down a rabbit hole, almost just sort of like flicking through and that whole thing. And that's something else said the other day, that blokes just go, they just go, sorry, no, right. They just go right on everybody.
Yeah.
And just see what happens. And then they don't mention.
I've been quite bad for that sometimes.
We got a Sunday night confessional going on here, James.
Sometimes, what I do sometimes is I just look at where they live, and if they live around the corner, I'm just swiping, ticking them, just because of where they live, which is really bad, isn't it? But like you said,
I don't know if it is really bad.
Yeah,
I think what's worse is if somebody, and I think it's kind of coming back to treat people how you would wish to be treated as well. It's like if you swipe and you match, and actually it was a late night after a beer or something, or a glass of wine, and you kind of go, oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
I think it's just really nice if you can do it. Just say, thanks so much. I wish you well in your search for a lovely lady or a really, a nice bloke or whatever. And just kind of message people. And I think it's that ripple effect. That if you do that, I think people just really appreciate there's a bit of humanity, and you've all given up your time to swipe on each other, and it does take a little bit of time, obviously, depending on whether you got 3,000 or 30. But I think if you swipe with somebody, and I just think if you can start that ripple of just being polite. Then somebody might remember and respectful, and I think that's what we really need to bring into sort of the online dating as well, is to actually just say how somebody said to me, you just go, oh, that's all right. But it's when people are left hanging and people don't bother, and I think it's about valuing time as well. It's like going on dates when people have lied. It's like they don't value your time because they probably don't actually value their own time. That's a big statement. I don't know if I'll get some whatever for that. But with all of this, we'd love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
This is out to the listeners and the audience. So
what are the alternatives to dating apps? There's
coming on here, mate. Doing a channel.
Yeah.
So when we start coming on every night of the week, we're all really in trouble because we ain't got nowhere else to go.
No. Speed dating, isn't there? Something that we did it years and years ago, didn't we, Steve?
Did you? I never did that.
It was good.
What was really good was when you came out of the room and there was like a billboard with a pouch, wasn't there, in your name and all these tickets inside it.
Yeah, people who liked it wrote the number down and put a little business card thing in.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my God. Right. So how long did you have to spend talking to somebody?
3 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this is me and James. We only need 3 minutes.
Of course you do.
I was drunk. I was drunk, mate. I think we both were, weren't we? We were steaming.
I had really bad hearing that night. Do you remember? I couldn't hear half a 3-minute conversation because of my hearing.
Oh yeah.
And did you have a little list of people you can like tick off, the people you liked, or was it? Or
No,
did
you
you
just
just have
write
to try and remember their names?
You write the name down on a ticket and
Ah,
put your number.
You went through.
popped it in.
You went through the speed dating process. You had a slot. You went through the speed dating process. But as a separate thing, there was a massive wall with all the women who'd attended's picture on, and they all had a little pouch in front of the photo. So if you could just look along and say, "Oh, she looks nice." If she's not one of the ones you'd met on the speed dating, she looks nice. Write your number down on this little business card it was, and just pop it in, and then hope that when she comes back, she looks at it and says, "Oh yeah, I'll mess it." It was quite a good experience, but a bit similar
They're
to.
saying it should come back because people got so little time that actually it'd be like another level. So now we'd all be ready for it because we could actually do that quick hello thing. And
it still does go on, doesn't it? It still does happen, I think, speed dating. And there's been some of these virtual dates, hasn't there, recently during lockdown?
Have any of you guys been on any virtual dates?
Yeah, we're on one now.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Lucky me.
I know.
Her radar is not very good, is it?
No, I've not done a virtual date, but the concept is quite good, isn't it? I know some people have they've been raving about it. So you sat there having your dinner, or whatever, chatting to somebody like we are now, and sharing a glass of wine or whatever. It's quite good, isn't it? Really.
I think when needs must, we're all in lockdown. It's kind of difficult otherwise, isn't it?
It's better than spending months messaging someone and then not meeting them, which is another
and
thing.
Then going across town for an hour.
The amount of phone calls I've had off James. This is going really well, this. A month later, she's not replying. She's gone.
It's like weird because you can be messaging someone and getting on, oh yeah, ding, 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 oh yeah. And then, they'll just stop. And then you won't hear anything. And it's like, it's been ping, ping, ping for weeks and then nothing. Weird.
Do you ever talk to people? Because I get people on the phone quite quickly because if I don't like the sound of their voice, that's one of the really big things.
Everyone would like the sound of your voice, Tosh, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You've got one of those really soothing, send you to sleep kind of voices. In a nice way.
I'm going to fess up. If there's somebody I particularly want to make a thing on and they've WhatsApped me, I will send them a little cheeky voicemail just to kind of try and nail it that way.
But there's
oh yeah, you've just hit my key point tonight. Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, on communicating. I don't know what you think, James and Tosh, but James, this annoys the hell out of James. And
not anymore. It doesn't.
But
used to. Yeah.
I don't think when you write a message, you're showing any emotion at all. It can be misread in so many different ways. So I do voice clips all the time.
Me too.
Yeah, it's quicker, it's easier, and you can tell exactly what that person's about. And I think that's what should be going on these dating apps, voice clips only.
That's it's really difficult to lie because you can hear it in people's voices. And I guess, Steve, you're saying this because you work with blind as well. So the sensory, the auditory sensory is kind of like heightened. So you can really hear what people are about.
Well, the only thing is, it won't work for me because I'd send my voice clip, but I won't be able to hear the.
Get your headphones plugged in.
But you've got a hospital appointment happening, so.
Yeah, thank God. Wow.
I've bought into it, Steve. I've bought into your voice clips. I have actually.
Yeah.
I do like it, and like you said, it's the time thing, or if you misspell something on a text, it can go horribly wrong, couldn't it?
And people have got such expectations as well, Somebody once said it's like, you get given the bare slabs of, you know, paving slabs, and everybody, until you meet or speak or whatever, has already filled them in with what they think your story is, what you're all about. And everybody's got their stuff to bring to it as well. So we don't all get to the age we are without, you know, having gone through it a bit with experiences and emotions. And, you know, and it's, I guess one of the bits of advice I would offer up, not give, is actually just to notice when it's the old monkey mind is jumping in, because it's not always about you. A lot of it is about people and their experiences and why they're behaving like that. And I'm just going to use an example. This friend of mine was going out with this guy, and they were going to kind of go away for a weekend. And at the last minute, he started making excuses, and she was like, oh my God, he doesn't like me. I thought it was going on really well. The actual reality was that he had a couple of bills come in. He couldn't afford to pay to go away for the weekend. But instead of saying that to her, he just kind of went quite quiet and avoided it. So, you know, Steve, you mentioned communication. Just be honest. You know, we've all been through it, and there's probably a lot more forgiveness around for what we've all been through now than when we were much younger and we didn't have these experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely honesty, I think, is a good tip, top tip. And I think to start going on these apps, like I said, well, they do serve a purpose. They are really good, especially in today's day and age. But I think you've got to be in the right frame of mind, haven't you? Like mentally, if you think you're not quite ready, then I probably wouldn't go on them, because, like Steve's mentioned and Tosh as well, they can really affect your mental health, can't they? So
and you can just feel it in your body as well.
Yeah.
You can kind of feel that tightness in your shoulders. You might feel anxiety around it. You know, that those feelings like I'm not good enough come up a lot as well. And, you know, what's the matter with me? And instead of kind of going, actually, we don't know what's going on in everybody else's lives, we sort of turn in on ourselves, and we're a little bit unkinder to ourselves as well. So just notice if the app is making you feel like that, to maybe just take a couple of weeks off, or 3 weeks or a month or whatever, and just kind of get yourself back into a better, more robust, I would say, and sort of stronger mentally as well and emotionally.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And for myself, you know, because my memory's so bad, you know, if I'm messaging more than one person at a time, I can't cope. I really can't cope. I need to, like, regularly, if I'm messaging, say, 2 people, for instance, I regularly need to check through the message sent. Kind of
you don't ask the same questions.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, or asking the same questions. Yeah, I've got to really make sure that I don't do that. Or
I think go on.
Names or everything.
Go on, Tosh.
I think if we put a poll out on Instagram, right, how much does it upset people when you get asked the same question?
Yeah.
It's going to be a resounding 100%.
Yeah. So, like, the day before I go on a date, I have to spend a decent amount of time going through the messages, just trying to make a mental note of, like, where they live, what job they do, just so that I don't get on the date and be like, oh, so what do you do for a living? And they'll be like, we had a long conversation about this the other night. Do you not remember? And I'll be like, nope.
So there might be people out there going, well, actually, what is the universe trying to say to you, James Niven?
I don't know. I need to improve my memory skills.
Improve your memory skills, or maybe just date one person at a time.
Oh, no, I don't mean
that.
No, I said messaging, Tosh.
Messaging. No, yeah, I know.
Yeah. We've talked about that, though, James, haven't we? We've talked about, I mean, what's your views on this, Tosh? Because, you know, there's people that are messaging 6 or 7 people all week, you know, and, you know, surely if you're just messaging at least 2, maybe, you're going to be able to give them more attention, learn a bit more about them than having, you know, a scenario like James has got. I'm only joking.
Actually, I want to say something to you guys, because this last week we've been kind of talking about getting all this sorted for the channel for quite a long time. And somebody who I've been messaging said, "Oh, well, I think you were probably messaging some other bloke actually at 10 o'clock at night." And I was going, "Well, actually, I was talking to two of them on here, and it's you two." And they were going, "I'm not jealous or anything." I was going,
Yeah.
they're just like my screen buddies.
Two younger men.
Two younger men.
But I think everybody does it. I think.
Oh, they do.
You know, there's no way that most blokes, and I can't speak for women, but if blokes were messaging someone and then they got another message off another woman, they're not going to say, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'm messaging somebody else. I can't message you." Are they? Really?
No.
Okay, so here's a question, right? And it's not rock and a hard place question. I'm just putting it out there. If you kind of say you saw somebody for a drink and you're messaging a couple of other people, and I'm sure we all know this happens, and you kind of really like that person, but nobody really committed, because there's that whole other conversation. When do you both come off Tinder, you know, or whatever dating app? We mentioned the TDI, so we'll do Bumble.
Relationship status on Facebook, you know.
We'll do all the rest of them. So, you know, what then? Do you say to them, "Oh, listen, I'm going to give it a go with this person, but, you know, thanks so much I hope you understand"? Is that something
Thanks for coming, but
no. So if you're messaging somebody else, so you go out for a date with somebody, and then you've been messaging.
Messaging me for the past 2 months, but I've found somebody who I like better than you.
So I've had that happen to me, and I've also done that to somebody else, and the other person said, "Well, if it doesn't work out, I would love to."
Really? Nah. It's kind of like making yourself second best, isn't it?
I know.
It's a tricky one, because I don't know what's worse, whether to just stop messaging somebody. So if that situation, is it worse to just stop messaging the other person, or is it worse to kind of say, "Look, I've found somebody that I like better"? I
think you need to be honest.
Obviously, you'd fluff it up a bit and make it sound nicer, but what's worse? I don't know.
I only message Tosh, that's it.
I know. We've got our own little WhatsApp group.
It's such a minefield, isn't it? It's absolute minefield, and I think like if we're going to be wrapping up in a couple of minutes, maybe I think that we're obviously just sharing our experiences, and there's many pros and as many cons, I think, to any form of dating, whether it's speed dating, whether it's dating apps, whether it's virtual dating. There's pros and cons to both, isn't there? But we all hope that anybody watching this finds love, however they find it, their own thing.
Yeah, and just to be gentle with yourselves and not just be honest.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself before, you know, and the other thing I was going to say, this is for women, I don't know for men as well, but don't try and be somebody that you think blokes or women want to see.
Yeah.
Be you.
Be yourself.
Because otherwise it's going to be exhausting being somebody else all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
And stressful.
Yeah.
And if you be you, you'll have your own channel and you'll be like us three.
So what there's three top tips we're gonna say. Be honest, be respectful. What else? What's the third one?
Message as many people as you can.
Be honest, be respectful.
Oh, right. So this is really funny, right? Because I was just looking through my phone, so we were going to leave it with a quote, and this has just come up, right? You wouldn't believe it. It's called a textationship. Is a person that texts you all the time but never makes an effort to see you. Came up on my phone.
A textationship.
A textationship.
That can be the third top tip. Don't be a textationship.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We want honesty, we want respect, and we want people who are actually prepared to meet us.
Yeah, and have a relationship. You know, if you're on it.
Yeah.
Have you learned a lot there, James?
Yeah. I'm glad I'm recording this. I'm going to watch it back tonight. So thank you all for tuning in. And we will be back on Tuesday. We're back on Tuesday with another edition of Toshes.
Tosh's
Takeaway. Tuesday.
And rolling in from this, I'm going to be sharing with you tips on how to manage social media anxiety as well. So, and a great little, so obviously you might have your phones ready, so please do, because I'm going to be guiding you through a little kind of social media experiment as well. So
sounds good.
There we go.
Right, okay, so thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you would like to below. Follow us on Instagram, single.parents.united. We're also on Facebook, Single Parents United, and obviously here on YouTube. Thanks for watching.
And if you've got any comments
or questions, please
do.
know. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys.